Alright, so this is going to be part 2 to what if Deku was a Hunter Guardian. So with that being said, I gotta say a few things. First off, I'm kind of sorry for the first recording of this. At least part 1, that's what I mean. And that's because I haven't really been in the groove of making what ifs for quite a bit of time. And I really did mess up a lot. And I stuttered and I just spaced out the video more than it should have been. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm going to try to do better on this video. So in the last part, we just got done with Deku meeting his ghost and getting into UA. So we gotta talk about the implications of the Traveler actually meeting with, well, humanity and all the good things that happen and all the bad things that actually happen because of this. So because the Traveler actually comes to Earth, people find out that there's other life forms, aliens, right? And this affects people in many different ways, just how it would be in real life. So I guess we could talk about a few of the major characters. The first one being Endeavor. Because the discovery of other life, I feel like him and most people would try to get closer with his family because of that. Knowing that there's more to life than just what's on Earth really puts your life in perspective. Knowing that you're just a small planet floating in an endless kind of universe does really humble you a lot, and this would actually change him for the better in my opinion. But this would also double down on some other characters like Overhaul. Because of the discovery of aliens, he sees them as, well, like in a disease, almost like how quirks are. So he doubles down on his philosophy that he was doing before in season 4. So there's some good and some bad. As well as Night Eye, he would see this as, a positive thing with the Traveler helping, but as well as people need to prepare just in case something other than something like the Traveler would come to Earth. So he actually makes Mirio's training a bit harder whenever he comes to the agency. And heroes in general become more active in the community, and this actually changes Stain's philosophy quite a bit. He does end up killing a few heroes here and there because of what happens, but he wouldn't be as, well, let's say, bloodthirsty for some of his victims. And this is what happens where the Traveler actually comes, because something like this has never been present in human history ever before, and it's such a monumental discovery that it does change a lot of people for the better and for the worse. So we could talk about, I guess, Shigaraki. I don't think this would really matter to him too much. In fact, I think he would actually dislike the Traveler for giving so much order to the world, giving peace and things like that. So yeah, with that being said, we could actually get into the what if. So because of those 10 months of the Traveler meeting with humans, this is actually where they start traveling to different planets. So they're going to test out their kind of new technology on the moon. So because Deku basically wiped out the squadron or platoon or whatever you want to call it of the hive there, nothing really happens. They actually do successfully colonize the moon, and this is where they terraform it, giving oxygen to the moon, just how they do in Destiny, and so on and so forth. And just like how in Destiny lore, we're gonna say that the Chinese actually do it first. Well, it's not really like they would still be part of one government, but you know what I mean. So because of that, this is spread across the globe, and so people actually do move to the moon. So let's get into the actual, story with Deku. And this is the first day of UA. So he's very excited and he brings his ghost, but he doesn't really want to show every one of these guardians. So he keeps his ghost in his backpack. And this is where he asks himself and the ghost basically whether or not he should tell people his true origins or not, that being with the Traveler. And he doesn't know what to say. The ghost would have told him to just go and see how you want to, approach this, and it's really up to him whether or not he wants to tell people, because eventually there's going to be other guardians just like him. So yeah, and the fact that he is immortal, both well in age and things like that, he'd be able to just outlive him if anyone doesn't like him. And it's kind of a cynical kind of view, but Deku takes it. And yeah, so you guys can tell me down in the comments whether or not you want Deku to tell people that he's a guardian or not. For now, we keep it a secret and say that his quirk is elemental light for now. I know that his name might sound bad or something like that, but let's just go with that for now. So on the first day of UA, he would get into the classroom, and this is where he would see Ida and Bakugo really arguing, and mostly just Ida yelling at him to put his feet down. Deku would see this, he would recognize Bakugo, and Bakugo would do the same, but Deku wouldn't really want to approach him while Bakugo does. Bakugo goes up to Deku and asks him like, "Hey, I thought you didn't have a quirk. Why are you in this class?" And this is where Deku would actually, he would interact with Bakugo at this point and say, Bakugo, yeah, I have a quirk. I just really wasn't able to use it that often, and it really had a backlash on my body, so I never really used it. And I only found out about it just at the beginning of middle school. And this is where Bakugo's like, and he walks off. He doesn't really care about Deku, doesn't really see him as a threat. And this is where the rest of the class 1A would come in, specifically Uraraka, and ask him, "Oh, you're the kid who saved me. What's your name?" And Bakugo would be hearing this like, "What? Saved who?" But he doesn't really care too much, but he is somewhat interested, so he kind of listens in. And this is where Uraraka would say, or Deku would say, my name is Izuku Midoriya, and I was the one who saved you." And this is where Uraraka would thank him for saving her. And I think this is the point where they would have like some small talk, and they would actually talk about the Traveler. And this is where Uraraka would say, have you heard the news? What do you think about the Traveler coming to Earth and helping humanity? And they would have a little bit slight different opinions about it. I think Ida would really appreciate the help. He would say, well, the Traveler seems like it's doing good. It's helping humanity grow, and it established world peace. And Deku would have a greater opinion of the Traveler just because of how he helped him achieve his dreams and the goals that he has. So as they're kind of talking about this is where Aizawa actually comes in and tells him to just be quiet. He doesn't want to hear anything about the Traveler. Because he's a hero, he would have been informed about the Traveler way earlier, because heroes are kind of like government officials. They have special knowledge and things and like that. So he would know about the Traveler, and people would probably be talking about it a lot around him. And he would have kind of gotten sick about it, as well as not really trusting Traveler as much, because it seems pretty strange just for a random giant machine like the Traveler to just help out humanity for no cost. So he doesn't really want to talk about it. And this is where he actually tells everyone to get ready for a Quirk Assessment. And this is where Deku actually gets kind of excited, because Deku was never hanging out with Bakugo. He never really gets that nickname Deku, as well as Bakugo never really getting that inferiority complex that he gets at the beginning of the series, because Deku is not around him, and therefore he does not see himself, or he doesn't see someone weaker than him look down upon him in his mind. So he doesn't get that kind of inferiority complex, but instead has a more level-headed about himself, and he is a bit calmer than he is in canon. Deku himself is a bit more confident, both in aim and with his powers, just because of the Traveler, as well as his goal of becoming a police officer that he's always had. So when they get to the field and they want everyone to do their Quirk Assessment, this is where Deku is actually forced to, be the first one to throw the ball. So Deku throws the ball with his normal power, but like I said at the in the last part, he's a guardian, so he's a lot stronger than he was in canon. We don't know the actual exact amounts of how strong someone would be on base guardians, so we could say that since Bakugo got around 70 meters in canon, we could say that Deku in this one's actually gonna get 200 meters on base, and everyone's shocked, like, whoa, what's this guy's quirk? That's super far, even just for a baseball like that, because again, he just has his normal kind of guardian strength. So this is when Aizawa said, I said no quirks, and Deku says I wasn't using a quirk, and he's like, oh yeah, then try it again. And this is where Aizawa would actually use his eyes to basically nullify any quirks. And yet again, Deku throws it and it goes just as far, and Aizawa's like, so you have that's your normal strength? And Deku says, oh yeah, it is. And this is where he hesitates a little, and Aizawa can kind of see that, but he doesn't say anything at this point. He says, alright, just use your quirk now. And Deku's just thinking about what he could do, and he doesn't have a quirk, or he doesn't have a super that could really help him at this point. So he tries to search within the light, and he grabs nothing. And within this nothingness, he pulls out the void, and with this void, he forms a bow, and this is where he gets Night Stalker. I know everyone's been watching this one, so this is where he gets it. He gets Night Stalker out of the blue in this part, and he uses the bow to kind of help. He gets the arrow, he sticks it onto the bow or onto the ball, and he actually shoots it, and it goes flying across. I would say that he shoots it up, and then it goes into the atmosphere. It doesn't quite yet reach his terminal velocity to get out of the atmosphere, so it crashes back down. I'm not sure the exact amount of meters that would be, but it doesn't get infinity, so he gets second place. After that, everyone's just shocked, like, what is this? What is this quirk? Like, some people would have seen him at the entry exams, right? So they would have seen his arc abilities, that being Blade Dancer, and his solar abilities, that being Gunslinger or Golden Gun. So they're very confused. And Aizawa was kind of like, he's like seeing this kind of determination in students, so he's very pumped up for it, and he asks everyone else to go after him. So they do, and the same amount of people get what they get normally. And Bakugo's kind of mad that Deku has such a powerful quirk at this point. So everyone would be next in line to do the ball throw, and it would go as in canon, where each of them would throw, and really none of them would get close to Deku except for Uraraka, obviously, who gets infinity. So we would get to the next test, and for the things like running I think it was like the 20-meter dash or something like that, Deku would have a very good advantage over Ida, because Ida is someone, his quirk really works on shifting gears. So with a longer track, he'd be able to get to top speed faster, and thus maybe outrun Deku. But since that's not the case, Deku, with his natural kind of guardian speed, specifically because he's a hunter, he'd be able to get there a lot faster. So we get to the other kind of test, and that's going to be the strength test, and that's actually going to be the grip strength. So in Destiny, there aren't too many feats of strength, right? There are times where the guardian has to pick up something and run with it. So, but there aren't really that many that you could say is very noteworthy. But there are a few exceptions. I haven't played Forsaken and any story above that. So in Destiny 2, if there's a greater strength feat, then you guys can tell me. But for this, I'm gonna go off of the raid in the Rise of the Machines, I believe it was called, in Destiny 1, in where the Guardians have to pick up pieces of an engine to give it to the I believe it was War Machine. I don't remember, or the Siege Machine, I believe it was called. But basically, they had to pick up engine parts to go and fix it, and these engine parts were a lot bigger than a normal engine that you would see in a car. So in a car, you could see, in a normal size car, the engine's around 600 pounds, at least from what I've looked up. And the parts that you carry throughout the raid, or for that part of the raid, is obviously a lot bigger in size than a normal engine. Remember, these are just parts of an engine, but still, these are parts that are larger than a normal car engine from what I've seen. So let's just say that they're around 3 times as heavy, so that would put them around 1800 pounds. So we have to convert that to kilograms, because that's what the unit that they use in the show. So if we convert that to kilograms, we get around 816 and a half. So it's like half of what, it's a little bit more than half than what Soji got. So Soji would get first place, given Deku getting second, at least at this time, because this is kind of like a low ball, because we don't know the actual strength of what a guardian can do, specifically like a hunter, because obviously something like a titan, who are known for more physical strength, would have a higher strength than that. So yeah, if there's any feats of strength that are seen in later parts of Destiny 2, past Forsaken, or something like overlooked, then you could tell me down below. So through the other kind of things, the other parts of the tests, he would pretty much get a really good score in most of them, because unlike some of the other students, he has a good balance of all kind of traits, that being speed and strength, and a mix of his ability of his quirks. Then it's pretty much he pretty much gets either second or first in most of these things, or these events. So yeah, after this we would get to the point where everyone would get their hero costumes, and for this one, Deku would get he would already have his hero costume, and that would be his hunter outfit. So in this one, he would have a mask. I'm not sure exactly on what exotic he would have for his build, so you guys can tell me what exotic you want for armor. So that's, a couple examples would be like the Celestial Nighthawk for like Golden Gun for a really powerful one shot. Orpheus rigs, I think they're called, for like boots, and that would give him more energy back when you shoot enemies with your Night Stalker. So just examples like that. So we would get to the part where All Might actually comes through, and he addresses the class as being his combat instructor. So in this one, Deku never met All Might before. In the part where the Sludge Villain will attack, he never met him, because he was able to defend himself and left the Sludge Villain there for All Might to pick him up. So Deku would have been very excited to meet All Might, just how the other kids were as well. And All Might would have no knowledge of Deku, other than the fact that he saw him during the entry exam, and that he did really well. But other than that, he doesn't know much. So he doesn't say much to Deku, since there is no real reason to. And after that, they go and split up into their teams, with Uraraka and Deku being on one team, while Bakugo and Ida go on another. So Bakugo would actually listen to Ida and stay at the top floor, while Deku and Uraraka would have to try to find a way through. So what Deku does is, when they get close to the higher floors, Deku actually crouches for a bit and actually turns invisible. But before this, Uraraka would ask him about his quirk, so that she could know how to combo with it if necessary. And he said that his quirk at this point is Element Light. So like I said before, if you want him to reveal his secret, then just comment down below, or if I remember to, I'll put a poll on this video. So yeah, after this, She sees that he's just crouching there for a long time, and she doesn't know why, so she asks him, and he says it's part of his quirk. And after a while, he disappears. He goes to the next floor above him, and he sees both Bakugo and Ida. So what he does is that he does a he comes back to tell Uraraka about it, and she gets the information. So she doesn't really know what to do at first, but Deku says, I could go in there, do a distraction, and then you can come in later. So that's what they do. So Deku activates his Blade Dancer. He does like a twirl, and he actually goes visible again. He then runs into the room and actually goes behind Bakugo, but he would have heard some footsteps here and there, especially now that Deku's running towards him, so he would have exploded behind him to see if anyone was there. And this is where Ida would question him, saying, what are you doing? And Deku would have been seen because of the smoke and because he was actually hit. And this is around the time where his invisibility would wear off, and he would get seen by both of them. This is where Deku would try to use his arc to basically go for Bakugo, and Bakugo would try to dodge it and use the explosions, but Deku would be too faster. Deku would stab him with the knife, but he really wouldn't hit him with the sharp side of the knife, so he would hit him with the dull side, and this would be enough to actually hurt him, because he would have transferred some of his arc energy into it because he's a Blade Dancer, and this would have shocked Bakugo physically because of all the arc energy, which is basically electricity. So this causes Bakugo to get fried basically, and he actually passes out because of it. Next would be Ida, and he would actually start running with the bomb, not knowing really what to do. So Deku switches to his Night Stalker, and actually shoots a bow or an arrow at him or near him, and this actually tethers Ida, causing him to slow down, and basically he just stops and puts his hand in front of his face, almost as if it's blinding him, and he can't really do much. He's tethered, like I said, he's suppressed, so he doesn't know what's happening. Like, what did you do with me? Like, what did you just do? What is this? And as this is happening, this is where Uraraka would come in, and this is where she would tie the tape around Ida, and this would get him out, and then they would get the bomb, causing them to win. So everyone would be really impressed with Deku, since he has like this many powers, and they don't really understand exactly how his powers work, and he has so much versatility that it's very interesting. So I think at this point Todoroki would be a little bit more open than he was in canon, just because of how his father would be trying to get better relationship with his family. So obviously it's not going to fully heal that kind of mental scar because of what's happened, but it is a start, because if you don't remember, this is how all happened within 10 months of the Traveler coming. So there's been 10 months of Endeavor trying to be a better father. So yeah, so they end up winning, they get praised for it, and Deku would be elected the class representative. So yeah, with that being said, this is coming in a video, and in the next video we'll go over the stuff that happens more with the Traveler, as well as the USJ attack. So yeah, with that being said, if you liked the video, please give it a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe, and if you made it to the end of the video, comment down CS so I know that you support the channel. So with that being said, this is going to be the video. So yeah.